Adam, you're based in Vietnam. You have seen, I guess, many worlds. Yeah? But share with us a little bit about the work you're doing over there, and also your observations so far in terms of the entrepreneurial spirit, the startup culture between Vietnam and perhaps Australia. The floor is yours, Adam.
Thanks, PJ. Yeah, regards to myself, so yeah, I've been in Vietnam around 20 years now. I'm from Australia. I focus on sustainable trade and investment across industries, and mainly between Vietnam and Australia, and sometimes some other countries, in a wide range of trade and investment-based services and roles. You know, cutting across import, export, distribution, product ownership, product development, company representation, and consultancy. And as Vietnam has developed and grown, I've had to adapt, learn, and grow very quickly myself. So as an example, in the early market trade-based sort of era, you know, I focused on import, export, and it was an exciting space to be in up to around 2014. And then as the market developed, it became essential to provide more business development expertise with products to ensure the products could compete as more competition entered the market. And around the same time, you know, Vietnam's purchasing price parity was obviously becoming stronger, and the market demands began changing with this too. And in the last few years, the appetite for investment to vertically integrate Vietnamese supply or service chains with Australia has been growing to establish a more bilateral economies of scales within some of the companies I've been involved in helping. And that's really interesting type of work and something I really enjoy. So yeah, I've been fortunate enough to work across industries with technology and capability transfer from agriculture, education, you know, fast moving consumer goods, investment in upstream assets, property and construction projects, high quality commodities with value add production efficiencies. So yeah, just a whole range of areas pretty much. An area that's important in all these bilateral business activities is with technology and capability transfers. And this is where the SMEs and startups can go international much faster than industry-based economic models would have expected even 10 years ago. So by this, I mean, you see a lot more startups from other countries entering Vietnam and this region very quickly. And in the past, that was very difficult to do, but it's actually possible to do now. And yeah, so I guess back to me, what do I do? So one way to describe what I do is I need to identify and know where the herd is, but not always run with the herd. My role is knowing when and how to move or wait, so opportunities are implemented the right way and not too early or too late, so they are mutually beneficial for all parties, because if they're not good for everyone, then it just won't be sustainable. To the second part of your question, I think it was about entrepreneurship observations. So, you know, the 20-year journey with Vietnamese clients for me then, who have become wonderful friends and partners, you know, it has made me a better person on so many levels. And I say this because in Vietnam, there's a real respect for different perspectives, and people put themselves out there to learn and grow and have an inquisitiveness and interest in how to develop their local environments. So, and this is what I love about broader ASEAN, you know, the ambition to develop and grow and adapt what's available into new local business models. And I really think we're going to see a lot of new business models come out of this region. Yeah. So, I guess too, maybe some of the difficulties for the foreign companies I work with, looking at it, it's not so much is in that so much of the value and uniqueness in Vietnam is inside the people and their local networks. So it's complicated to access, to understand, and it's complicated to mimic. And this is why Vietnam, and I think more broadly developing Asian nations, will achieve wonderful innovation outcomes during our lifetimes. You know, they're not bound by a mature economic nation mindset, if that makes sense. And by finding localized modernization solutions can really define what innovation and entrepreneurship means to them and what models fit them, which I think is very important. Yeah, so from all this, the startup community here demonstrates, I think, the key personal traits needed to get through chasms, because there will be chasms. They have the passion, the conviction, and the network engagement, which is essential. And although COVID has had devastating effects socially and economically across the world, it's also further fast-tracked localized innovation, which can become regional and, but hopefully more broadly international disruptors. And a lot of this has been driven, I think, by ASEAN-focused companies who are either transforming developed market models or creating their own for those real localized population contextual needs. So it's about localizing everything. And only the last 3 or so years, like the adoption of agri and logistics tech has been really, really exciting in this part of the world. E-commerce, which is well written about, fintech, consumer integrated ecosystems, which, I first noticed in Indonesia, and it's come from there to Vietnam and so forth. What are some other ones? 20% growth in F&B specialty stores and healthcare is something it can be hard to visualize when I'm talking to people in developed countries. 20% growth in small specialized shops, which it's just amazing, really. So if a startup can find a way to vertically integrate the fragmented parts of an industry in an environmentally friendly, positive way to help the end user's life be better, that's a value proposition that anyone will get behind. And it's something I put a lot of time in away from my everyday workflow to try to understand. Yeah, so just the final point. So observationally, there's a real talent to modify existing products or business models so service and products are more accessible and affordable to lower income users. And this is very hard for international companies to do in this part of the world. And it really localizes the innovation, and it's really complicated to mimic. And I just find it extraordinary because it can be upscaled quickly to help millions of people to have really, really new and positive life experiences. Yeah, so it's an exciting place to be, TJ.
Okay, thanks so much. Thanks so much, Adam. Yeah, I hear a few points, like the ambition, the desire to learn and to grow, yeah, to really just absorb, and also for people who are looking at coming into the country, the need to understand the local culture, modify to suit the local needs. So thanks very much for sharing those thoughts. In the broader context, Adam, of developing countries like Vietnam, what factors do you think are important to ensure the vibrancy of the whole entrepreneurial innovation ecosystems? Adam?
Yeah, well, TJ, I guess yeah. So I'm probably going to repeat a lot what the other speakers have already said, but maybe just in a different way. Okay, so if I was in an international business context, whether that's international companies looking at coming to Vietnam or a Vietnamese company seeking FDI, everyone needs to understand a few things. One, there's a lot of money in the world. It's not a problem getting money. Well, but what the problem is finding a good deal, right? And so that's that. If you're an SME or a startup, there's a lot of money in the world that you have to structure it so they want to invest in you, and that's the challenge. All right, it's not finding money; it's getting the money. Now, so like the key drivers now and over the longer term, in all countries is at the institutional level. Okay, so the last 10 years in Vietnam alone, the institutions have just done a fantastic job. They really have. When you think where the country was 20, 30 years ago and where it is now, in such a short space of time, if you look at OECD, IMF, or World Bank indexes, the last time I checked, which was a few months ago, I jotted down some figures here. So the fourth largest country in ASEAN, ease of doing business, number 70. That's a critical indicator. It's something everyone asks about. Adoption of innovation and technology, number 26th or 27th in the world. Unbelievably exciting. It really is. You think of the whole world coming in at that for the eagerness to adopt technology, okay? The PPP levels will overtake Brazil in 2025. So a country as resource-rich as Brazil, Vietnam's purchasing price parity is soon going to overtake that, okay? Logistics performance, third in ASEAN, critical. FTA, showing friendship, wanting to work with others, finding a consensus. I think it's 13 bilateral FTAs at the moment, 3 regionals completed soon. Another interesting thing, which I talk about a lot to our companies overseas about Vietnam, is workforce participation. 36% is in the service industries. Now, that is a real indicator of development. Okay, if you look at America or Australia or EU, it's services that drive those economies. And now it's 36% now in Vietnam. Agriculture comes in second, and the industrial side comes in third at around 30% of workforce participation. And during all this growth, inflation's been stable at around 3%, while per capita income and wealth has risen. So with regards to the institutional level, hats off, well done. That's a pretty amazing effort in such a short period of time. Now, for startups, so some of the things here, as you know, TJ, I'm not a startup specialist. I focus on business, which includes startups, okay? So, the national and provincial governments, have established at least 8 funds that I know of to assist startups and with alternative financing, lower than bank interest rate loans. There's a 52-hectare tech startup center about 3 kilometers from my house that's going to be created to create a cluster of excellence. Online platforms to connect startups with investors, incubator programs for mentoring, training, equipment access, and R&D grants. So yeah, as in any country, it really does help to have a local partner who has the capabilities to work within the institutional norms and systems to access such support and learning. And that doesn't matter if it's Vietnam or my home country, Australia, or speakers today, Korea, Thailand, the UK, and so forth. Understanding how institutional norms and works, it really does help having someone local. Now, a more broader international impact, this may require what the speakers have already talked about, really. So startups, you need to form clusters of networks of excellence, combining the government support programs I've just mentioned with university R&D programs, which has been talked about, expanding incubator communities, which Agata was chatting a bit about in UK, utilizing peer-to-peer platforms for linking local international resource capabilities. These are all available in different stages of development, right? But the challenge for any community, any country, industry, or nation is bringing that together so it's easily accessible. And that's why I was listening so intently with regards to what's happening in Korea with the platform that was just discussed there. It's essential. And anyone who brings that out, your uptake will just be huge. It's just something that every nation needs, right? And the areas Australian startups ready to go international, if I'm talking to them about Vietnam, it usually includes similar talking points here as in most other countries, such as regulatory reforms and ease to use systems, keeping pace with beneficial startup frameworks for business licensing, international currency transfers, and taxation, which is quite tricky in ASEAN. IP protection, copyrights, clear timeframes for changes of data privacy and data center laws. That's in every country in the world. Every country in the world is trying to work out a way how to establish that for their own national needs, which are very important. And so for vibrancy, I refer back to the importance of community clusters, transferring skills, experience, knowledge, and All of this, at the university and vocational training level, providing workforce skills and R&D commercialization programs, which has been chatted about by previous speakers in the UK and Thailand, really is an attractive value proposition. And if you're a part of that, you'll find it easier to get investors, without a doubt. Now, as in most countries in ASEAN, if you can deliver localized solutions, again, especially in the digital economy, then there are opportunities for disruption at scale. And importantly, if your business model can secure revenue streams, you will attract the investment. Showing you can secure revenue streams before going for investment, and you will have it. The last 2 or 3 years, we can see this just in Vietnam, in fintech, e-commerce, industrial retail, residential smart city constructions, and enterprise solutions for productivity and waste management and logistics. All these types of startups have attracted investment. Okay, now a key consideration may be you can have competitive advantage through innovation, or are you going to mimic others? Now, mimic others is fine, but an understanding there, if you're going to mimic someone else, then you might need more capital to compete, and you might need more capital to be able to drive down prices, over time. So, but if you have a revenue model, then it's, as I said, it's easier to get capital investment. The startups that upscale quickly are providing localized solutions with modernization, and the larger ones over here tend to have FDI backing from, places such as Singapore, Japan, Korea, and the USA. And there's more Vietnamese companies providing that backing as well, which is just fantastic to see.
Okay, yeah. So thanks so much for sharing, Adam. Yeah, it's very interesting what you have shared, and I think definitely there are some questions that are probably coming up that would need for you to explain a little bit further later.